Welcome to Jetta's Craft Cottage. Today I'm going to show you how to make binding and to attach it to a square item or rectangle such as these placemats. So let's get started. To make binding, you want your strips to be between 2 inches and 2.5 inches. This is 2 inches, and I'm going to cut off the selvage with my rotary cutter. You will now open up your 2 strips. Put the right side up on one and put the right side down on the other. And we're going to make it so it has just a slight overlapping so you can see where the edges are. I'm going to take one pin just to pin it so it will stay straight. I'm going to take my ruler, and this is a Fons and Porter binding tool. And you'll see the different markings on it. I'm going to lay my fabric here, and I'm going to put the ruler with the line that's at the diagonal here along the straight of the line, and you'll see the points here. Now take chalk and make a line. And this is from one edge to the other. I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew that. I sew it along this line here. If you do not have one of the binding tools, you can take a ruler and just measure it from the corner to the corner and take your chalk mark and go right to it. It'll work the same way. Now I'm going to trim this. I'm going to take it to about 1/4 inch from the line. Take my rotary cutter and cut it. And then take off any of these tails. Now it will lay flat. Press the seam open. And then fold it in half. And we're going to do this the whole way down. Now the strips are put together and I have a 1-inch binding. You want to measure the length of your project on both sides and the width of your project on both sides. Add those all together and also add another 12 inches for your binding. You will start on one side, leaving a tail about 12 inches, and I'm pinning it with the raw sides against the raw side of my project. So I'm going to pin it right here. And then I'm going to mark on the other side about 12 inches for my stopping point. Now I am going to take this to the sewing machine. I have my machine set at 1/4 inch from the edge. I'm going to put my needle down and I'm going to start sewing. When I get to about 1/4 inch from the edge, I'm going to do a miter corner. So I will pivot and sew off the edge. To make a miter corner, I am going to flip this binding straight up so you can see a little triangle here, and then I'm going to flip it back so I have a straight edge here. I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to pin it. Go to the 1/4 inch in and 1/4 inch out and start sewing again. Another miter corner. When you get to this last corner, we're going to stop at this pin for the stopping line. You want to connect the left side to the right side. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the right side, go all the way to the end, put a little crease in where the stitches are, fold it in half to where the other stitches are. And then with my scissors, I'm going to cut straight off. So now I only have a short right tail. Now with the left side, this is where I use my Fons and Porter binding tool. But if you don't have a binding tool, you can always use a ruler. Whatever your size of your binding, this is a 2-inch binding, you take 1/4 inch less. So this is where I will be having my 2 inches. I'll be checking it right here with my binding tool. But if I don't have the binding tool, I will have to go 2 inches and then go to the 1 3/4 inches to have it match. So I'm taking my binding tool, setting it up here. I'm going to lay this left side over this tool and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut straight off. Okay, so we still have to figure out how to get this together. You're taking your left side, you're opening it up so it is nice and flat. You're taking your right side and you may have to scrunch this because it has to curve under and open up so it lays flat this way. I'll show it again. So this is how it is. You curve it under, lay it flat, open it up, and we'll put a pin here on this side here. And I'm going to take my binding tool, or you can use your ruler, and you're going to draw a line from corner to corner. Now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and so that I have done the sewing from this corner to this end, and it looks like I have 2 triangles. But don't cut this off yet, you just want to make sure it will lay flat. And it looks like it will lay flat from here. So now I am going to cut the tail at 1/4 inch, these 2 little triangles, and I'm going to press it open. Now when you lay it down, it will lay flat. So now we'll go back to the sewing machine. We're sewing from this edge to this edge. You can see I have sewn from here to here. Now we're ready to turn it over. Pressing it just so I know that the seams are set. I'll use some binding clips. I'm going to flip it over. I like to top stitch my binding. A lot of people will roll it over and they will hand sew this. When you get to these corners, you want to miter it. You may have to trim a little bit of this corner inside so it sets nicely. You're going to flatten it. This has a triangle here. Flatten it. You'll put this little thing, you'll see a little angle right at the corner. Take your binding clip, secure it, and then continue on. Once everything is secure with your binding clips, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew as close as I can to this edge. And then I will secure some of these corners with a couple of stitches. If you wanted to do hand stitching, you could hand stitch this now. You could see that I did a top stitch very close to the edge and did a couple of stitches back here. This is for a square or rectangle quilt or placemats, and I hope you enjoy it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. A day without sunshine is just an extra day for crafting.